Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Perfect. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to another town hall. Everything is same, everything is as always. The only thing that is a little bit different that you're not gonna see Miles today because he's vacationing and that's very deserved. Very well deserved. So, if you're active in the community, you've seen my name around. If you are not, you're very welcome to join at community.hospitable.com, and it's a great place for hosts to exchange with our team and to learn from one another. So, as always, we are recording, we are live streaming. That means if something happens with your Zoom during this session, just head over to YouTube and you can watch it there. Also, as always, we're gonna start with product updates and then we're gonna go to the live Q&A with our audience. Um, in the meantime, if you have questions, you don't need to wait for the end of the sessions. What you can do, you can ask your question at the bottom on your Zoom, you're gonna see button that says Q&A, and we always ask people to ask your questions there because we have a bunch of our team members here who are gonna be answering your questions. And in chat, sometimes they get a little bit lost. So you can of course post in chat as well, but we really ask you to put it in Q&A when you can, so we can track it. Okay, I think that's that. We will bring our short disclaimer here and I will leave it here for a second and then I'm gonna hand it over to PC or not to PC. We go straight to Vrbo updates.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marina from the connectivity team, and I'm here today to share a little bit about the pilot that we're working on for Vrbo. I think everyone is very curious to know how we're working, what does it look like, and yeah, we're here to share all about it today. So let's begin with our vision. Why are we doing this? So what we want is that you'll be able to manage all your listings from Hospitable. We really want to end your tab switching. We've been talking about this for so long that it's a big pain to be switching platforms all the time, to be managing your listings. Also, something that we've been discussing in the previous town halls is that we want your listings to perform, and we know that platform diversification is a big, big part of it. So we know how important it is for you to be listing on different platforms. We know a lot of you get 80% of your bookings from Airbnb, which means that you're doing something really right, but we know that you could be increasing your price, you could be making more money if you were listing on more platforms and getting bookings on more platforms. But let's be really, really, really honest. We know that the current connection that we have with Vrbo, it hasn't been great. We know you've been super frustrated about it. We've been seeing the posts in the community, we've been seeing posts on the Facebook group. We know that it's been unreliable. We know that the sync for the calendar isn't fast enough for you. We know that it's broken. So we're all frustrated about this. But then I see the comment. Thank you for being honest. We earned our way in to a Vrbo official integration. So we've been really happy about this because we've been talking to Vrbo since 2018. It's been really long conversations. We've been trying to, be an official partner, and we were finally admitted in May 2025. And I think it's really special as well because we've been admitted as a new integration that Vrbo is, a new type of connection that Vrbo is developing. So it's something really new, and we're like joining as a pilot group for Vrbo. And I think it's really exciting. So in June, we started the integration. It's a really, really long integration. there's lots of it that we need to certify on. So we need to check like everything about your listing, how it's working. Um, like we need to check for like the calendar part. We have to do the payments. Like there's like so much on Vrbo. So we've been really working really hard for the past 6 months until December to get the certification. So we were finally certified as a Vrbo official partner, but we are not really able to go live yet because there is a whole process that I'm going to show you for going live on Vrbo. So in this process of, starting to integrate with Vrbo and certifying, we have learned a lot of different things about what you want from this integration. And we really wanted to make sure that we got it right. So one thing that I learned is that you really wanted a quick onboarding. So you already told us which properties have verbal listings, and you didn't want to be like merging and matching all over again for all your properties. This will be really time consuming for you. So for the pilot, we really wanted to make sure that this would be a seamless process for you. So this is something we heard from the pilot, like one of the last pilot users that we onboarded. They told us, what I really love is that when I connected, I could see immediately, okay, so these properties are already on Vrbo and those two aren't. And she she said that she was like before it was really hard for her to tell if they were live or not live on Vrbo because her integration was really limited. So that was something that was really good about the pilot. Something else that we learned was that you wanted a really fast and reliable sync. We know our sync hasn't been the best. I've got users messaging me a lot saying, I made changes, it's not there yet. When is it going to be there? So we know it hasn't been reliable at all. But something really, really, really exciting about this new integration is that, next slide, is that for the integrations that are in the market, legacy integrations, um, the other PMSs, they aren't able really to tell you if a change that you made has gone live or not. So something that I found out during like talking to many of you and some of you who have used Vrbo before on other platforms, is that you receive like every week an email just saying this this many changes were synced, this many changes were in sync. And then you actually have to dig deeper and figure out yourself what is live and what is not. You have to go through this audit report email. That's like the only way that you can actually get a status update of your changes. And I think something really exciting about this new integration that we're working on is that you're able to get real-time notification of the changes. So the Verbal API that we're integrating with, it tells us immediately if your changes were saved properly or not and why. So I think this is really exciting for us. The next thing that we have learned, and I think that's also really obvious, but that the the connection that we had before, it wouldn't really get us to the vision that I shared initially because we weren't able to update any of your listing content. So no pricing, no availability, no photos, no descriptions, none of that. And with this new integration, it's also very exciting that we're able to sync all of that. So something that we heard from a user who also joined our pilot was that, next slide, that they don't really go into Vrbo that much. So they said, I don't really go into Vrbo that much. I kind of said it and I forget it. And then when I connected and we, I realized my photos, because we pulled in the photos, were completely out of date. I didn't even know. And then I was able to just select them, hit sync, and it was done. It took me a minute. So we're very excited about this new integration. So let's take a look a little bit about what are the integration phases, where we are. We want to be really honest with you about the timeline. So certification was the first step that I told you about. It took us 6 months to complete, and we're now in the pilot phase, and we're still onboarding pilots. And what does that mean is that we onboard the pilots and that they're able to create new listings, they're able to do lots of different things inside there, but then we go into a monitoring phase together with Vrbo. And I think it's also important to understand that Vrbo runs this pilot. So we're piloting their API integration, and our users are piloting our integration to Vrbo. So there's like a double pilot happening there. So we're not onboarding users as we would like to. I know that there's many of you who message me and were like, I really want to be a pilot, but we have very, very, very limited spots because Vrbo controls who we're able to onboard. So for now, our focus is to onboard one user who's completely new to Vrbo. We already did that. We have also onboarded users who currently list on Vrbo and use Vrbo as a platform to manage their listing. And the last one that will be onboarding is a pilot who is using Vrbo on another PMS and migrating to Hospitable. And the one who defines who fits in those categories is Vrbo. So we need to go by Vrbo's rules on the pilot. So once we finish onboarding all of those, then we go into monitoring phase, which is for Vrbo to really take a look into the reservations that are coming in, all the data, and make sure that everything is syncing correctly and that we're ready to actually make our integration available to everyone. So the monitoring phase, we're expecting it's going to take 2 to 4 weeks, and then that we're going to be able to start onboarding everyone starting from March. And we just got a message today. I really wanted to share with you because I'm really happy about it. This is one of the integration managers at Vrbo, and he just messaged us like, "Hello, Marina, how are you?" So Cindy told me that you're in the final certification steps. They call it certification steps, but it's really like this process of like the pilot that we're in. And we're now really close to set you definitely live and open your segment, which basically means authorizing you to start onboarding all the PMs that you want. So we're really, really close to being able to onboard all of you. We just need like to go through this monitoring phase, finish onboarding and go through the monitoring phase. So with that, I think you're all very curious to know what is there in the integration. And Luke, which is one of the engineers who has been working on this project, is going to give you a tour about what we have in Vrbo and what you can expect from the integration. Also, keep in mind that we're still in the pilot phase and there could be bugs in the presentation, but we'll do our best. Let's keep the fingers crossed that everything works. So good luck, Luke.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to be back. Let me start sharing. Okay, so what we want to show today is kind of the progress and where we're at with what we've been building, what we've got so far. So we've got a couple of things to show you in kind of various stages of development. So the first one we want to show is the new Vrbo connection flow. So I am using this is Kevin. So get some shout outs in the chat for Kevin from support, who has been very kind and was one of our first pilot users. And he's going to let us use his account to show you what we've been cooking. So what you see is the new connection flow. So first of all, as Marina mentioned, there's kind of different ways we can connect, which kind of aligns with some of the pilots we've been doing. So whether you've got an existing account, a new account, or you're migrating from another PMS. So let's say, let's connect an existing Vrbo account. So next stage is just an overview of what to expect. Obviously, Marina can cover some of this, some of the changes in terms of what it means to be PMS connected with Hospitable for Vrbo.
Sure. So something that changes once you have a Vrbo official integration, we will cover a lot more of that later, is that Hospitable actually becomes the one processing your fees. And we want to be transparent about how that works. So Vrbo is going to start collecting your commission on a credit card, and we'll be collecting a processing fee. We'll talk about it later, so don't worry about it. And also something that we want to make sure that we're transparent with is how existing reservations are handled. So if you have an existing reservation and you're, for instance, connecting an account, Vrbo is going to be like managing the payments for those reservations because those were made in Vrbo. And then Hospitable will be managing the payments for everything that happens after you connect. So this is something that we explain on this screen.
Okay, let's agree to that and move to the next stage. So let's just get my email address and get signed up. So here's an overview, just what's going to happen next. So let's move to onboarding in Vrbo. So we've got to the stage where we need to connect a Vrbo account to Hospitable. So one of the things we've noticed is obviously, as with anything when you're connecting, we need to be very careful about what account you're logged in as when you're connecting, just in case we've had people with multiple accounts go into the wrong one, which is obviously not ideal. So obviously just a few warnings about just making sure you're either logged out or just ensuring you're logged into the correct account. And then from here, we can open the self-service within Vrbo.
Just one disclaimer here that Vrbo told us that we cannot show this flow to you right now because we're still piloting it. But we just really wanted to show you because we heard that, Hospitable is not an official partner or something. We heard comments about it, but we wanted to really show it that there it is. It is there available, Hospitable on Vrbo to be picked as a holiday rental software officially connected to Vrbo. We're really proud of it. So while Luke goes through this flow, why I would like to distract you because we cannot show you, just explain what this flow looks like. So in this flow, you're going to be authorizing us to be your PMS provider. You're going to be providing your credit card details for Vrbo, which is one of other reasons why we cannot show that because we cannot show the credit card. So Vrbo is going to be billing this credit card for their commissions on reservations. And yeah, you're going to be signing the agreement that you want to change your connection to be a PMS provider. So how far along are you, Luke? Are we good?
Okay, you share. Okay, so on completion of the flow, we come back into the connectivity flow. So what we can see here is once we've connected, we will import, discover and import all the properties in your account. We'll pull in any existing reservations and then we'll just configure all those properties. So next step, we can review those properties. So this is what we found on that account and what we've pulled in. So one of the key things to highlight here is just about, I know it's mentioned before, about merge and match. So if you have an existing Vrbo connection, you've got properties that have got those listings in there already, we can detect, and those listings that we pull in on the new connection will automatically replace the old ones. And same for if it's a new connection, we've got some improvements coming for how we kind of see if we can automatically assign those listings to existing properties. So you pull those in, confirm those, and that's it. It's fairly straightforward. So we go to the properties page. We can now see these listings that were discovered. So we've got these properties here. So for example,
So we have a question from Dulce Vera about if I manage property for others. Yes, you can connect as many accounts as you want. And you can send owners the link so that they can authorize the connection for you. So that's also possible. Go on, look.
So that's the first flow we wanted to show you, like the connection, the new connection, how easy it is to connect, how we're trying to make everything as streamlined as possible, so you could just connect your account straight away, pull in, and everything's seamless. So the other thing we wanted to show you today.
Wait, go back there a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something that you might notice that is very different from what we have now is that Vrbo says fully managed. So I know a lot of you were asking, like, why was Vrbo partially managed? Well, now with this new integration, it's going to come as fully managed. And also something that we received as good feedback from the pilot is that now you can see if your listing is actually listed on the site, and you can publish and unpublish it really easily from there. So those are also some new things that we're implementing. Go on.
Yeah, let's dig into that then. We can show you kind of what that means. What does it mean to be fully managed, and why the existing Vrbo integrations are not fully managed compared to some of the others. I know it's something that's come up a lot. Obviously, in our last town hall, we released listings management, and obviously the goal of that was to have the unified place to update all your property information. So if we dig into like this property, for example, things like managing your photos in a single place, managing all your descriptions, your amenities, things like that. So obviously now I've connected that account. Now it is fully managed. What we can see is that we can select and choose a photo directly onto Vrbo from listing management. Same for managing the cover photo, managing your captions directly from here. Obviously, with the existing connection, that wasn't possible, just with the limitation on the connection. So again, in terms of listings management, this is kind of still a work in progress. We're still kind of working through all this stuff. So, but obviously, when we go to release, all this will be working seamlessly. So another thing that we definitely want to share. Let's jump in. Let's grab the listing. That's not the right one. Bear with me. Right, let's go to Vrbo not booking. So let's look at this property for July the 1st to July the 4th. It's been mentioned, we know the existing integration, the sync can be problematic, can be slow. So I just want to see if we can demo what happens if we go to, what's the date? 1st of July. I
heard from a user that sometimes it can take even 24 hours for it to update. So let's see.
Well, I haven't got 24 hours now, so let's see how we go on. Okay, let's.
For the old integration, not for the new one.
So let's block those dates on the calendar. Let's give it a second. It's as instant as we can be for instant, but it can still take up to maybe a minute. Let's see. Just give it a refresh.
Well, a minute is definitely better than 24 hours. Let's see.
Let's get in there. Come on, come on, come on.
I see there.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I knew it was going to happen. Just have patience. Just have patience. So there we can see about a minute. We can all agree that is a definite improvement over what we've got now. Okay, so I think that covers listing management. So the final thing I do want to demo for you today. So let's jump into this property here. So this is a property that I've created on this account using our new property creation flow. So it's a new property created completely from scratch. One second.
Okay, so I think we found a little glitch. Oh my God.
This might be my connection. Give me 1
It's
second. Let me just
This is the reason
reconnect.
why we haven't released it for everyone, guys. Like the pilot is still sometimes we're still in the implementation phase. So this is why we go slow and release it slowly.
We're back.
There you go.
Right, we're good. Sorry about that. Right, so we now have a list on Vrbo. So this is very similar to the new listing creation flow that we've recently released for Airbnb. We now have this list on Vrbo flow. Again, very streamlined, very straightforward. I just want to show how easy it is to get your existing properties listed on Vrbo. So we jump into the flow. Obviously, I've just connected this account. Choose the account. If you've got multiple accounts, you just need to select the account that you want to publish that listing to. You need to choose a name. So this property has got an existing direct site, an existing direct listing. So during that property creation flow, we've already come up with a property name. It's already synced to the direct. So we're just going to pull that in by default. You can update that. There's some slight different requirements in terms of like it has to be 20 characters. But for now, we use this one because it's already pulled in there. Again, similar to the description, this is the property description we've already got synced to the direct site. So again, we can just, let's reuse that one. And then the final step is just configuring your cancellation policy. So these are the supported Vrbo cancellation policies. Let's just go for the recommended relaxed.
We really recommend that you select the most relaxed cancellation policies when you're creating a new listing just to get you started. After that, after you get a few bookings, then you can obviously change it. That's why it says that it's recommended. So yay! Listing created successfully. So you can apply the same listing creation process for properties that you have on Airbnb and Booking.com on Hospitable. You can quickly put them live on Vrbo through the listing creation process.
So there we go. Simple as that. It can take a couple of minutes for that to actually publish on Vrbo. So unfortunately, I can't show it going live straight away because we don't have time. But just wanted to show kind of how easy it is to go from either an existing property with an Airbnb listing or a brand new property, and how easy it is to get that property pushed to Vrbo. And that is it for my demo today. Thank you all.
So to sum it all up, after we release this integration, what you'll be getting is a very stable, reliable, official integration. You will be able to merge existing listings automatically so that you don't have to be merging them individually. Also, you'll be able to be managing your listings from Hospitable with everything that we have currently. What is not there yet that we're working towards spaces and promotions and discounts. But what you see there, like property details, photos, availability, prices, integration with price labs, with dynamic pricing, it should be all in there. And calendar synchronization, super fast, and you'll be able to create listings from Hospitable. So I think you guys are still curious, because I said about the processing, payment processing fees and everything about that. So I'm going to bring in PR to talk to you about how that's going to work.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm having the meaty bit of the particular presentation, and of course, this is the opportunity that I have to clear all the questions that I see in the chat or in the Q&A. I was just answering a few right now. So the specifics of this integration and the challenge it may be is simply who is the merchant of record. Now that's a word that we are very familiar with, and we'll share why. But that's something that we're gonna gain in familiarity with today. Who is the merchant of record? That's the person that is processing the payments, that's drawing funds from the guest's credit card, and that is paying you out. That is the person that charges the guest and the person that's paying out the host. And historically, Vrbo was a network that was really thought for property managers that wanted to have those skills in-house. I'm taking shortcuts here. And therefore, Vrbo could relegate the responsibility of processing payments on the property managers that at that time that is great if you have a large number of properties, less so, we believe, if you are an hospitable user with a few properties, not a few dozens, just a few. And turns out, even if you have dozens of properties, you probably don't want to be spending your time doing everything what it means to be a merchant of record. When we're going to be switching to the Vrbo official integration, Vrbo will no longer be the one paying you out. That is a challenge for many initiatives that Vrbo is following. I was saying in the chat and in Q&A about OneKey, which is a loyalty program of Vrbo. Well, API-connected software providers are not eligible to this loyalty program of OneKey, which is actually a problem for Vrbo because they would rather have guests returning booking on Vrbo. And so that's a reason, amongst many, where later, and this is a question mark for you, just as much as it is a question mark for us, later, Vrbo will be back to being the merchant of record, which means it will be the one processing the credit card payments and paying host out directly. Actually, it is the experience of you today without the official integration. So there, we are okay on what the starting point is. You're familiar with it. There is an understanding onto all things should be, which is the way it's working right now. It's just in the middle, there is a step where Vrbo doesn't want to be the merchant of record. But we believe at Hospitable that we can really help our customers navigate this change because, as you may know, we are already a merchant of record. We have been sharing that regularly, but Hospitable is actually a merchant of record for our direct premium product that's now available in the US, in the UK, and in Australia. And that has processed $60 million of guest payments in 2025, a volume that has grown double over the volume that was the case in 2024. That allows us to basically say, maybe we should be a merchant of record for Vrbo as well, because that's the one thing that we can do to help with the experience of connecting your account on that exciting new Vrbo integration. So what does it entail to be a merchant of record? So this is the breakdown of the additional services that you can expect if you're using Hospitable as a merchant of record on top of your property management software. And the first part is obviously the payments. Hospitable is covering itself as a company all the payment processing fees, and that allows us to tweak the way those payment service providers are working for you. There is a rule in payment service providers, is that it costs money to take money. That doesn't really quite work, actually, whenever you're dealing with short-term rental reservations that may be of large transactions, but actually have this kind of unique situation where they're high value, high return. There you have thousands of dollars of reservation, but a cancellation rate that can be 10 to 15%, depending on the environment. So are you gonna be charged for all of those reservations, including the ones that cancel? Not if you're using a merchant of record like Hospitable. So we will not be charging you any payment processing fees or any fees at all on reservations from Vrbo that are canceled, which is basically helping you protect your bottom line. Those reservations that you take on Vrbo should not be costing you money. Now, if you use Hospitable, we don't charge a fee, etc. Sorry, I'm getting lost in my notes. Second, which is connected to payments, is chargebacks. Now, that's the ghost, the thing that the monsters of anything to do with payments. You have learned to be dreading it, and I think Vrbo in particular has some experience dealing with chargebacks. We can improve that because as a merchant of record, we will be the ones spending our own time at our own risk and be ultimately liable for the chargebacks that you will have from your Vrbo reservations. And that is a very meaningful issue because of the fraudulent chargebacks, which is your guest has checked in, they have checked out, they were very happy, but then a few days or a few weeks later, you see that there is a chargeback to basically try to claw back the funds for the reservation. It does happen. And here in this case, that would be a cost to Hospitable. And most customers, I mean, definitely all customers, do not know that this is occurring on Hospitable as a merchant of record because that's our job, to be defending your bottom line and protect you from fraud. And we're really proud to have that impact on the bottom line of our host. And lastly, taxes. Yeah, that's the thing that you cannot avoid. And particularly in our case, because it's really messy. There are the taxes at the state level, and it's like every single authority that has a shot at it is probably going to want to have a take rate, charge a lodging tax on a certain number of nights, on a certain number of guests, etc., and multiple parameters. So this is really difficult. At the same time, it's very important because as an industry, short-term rentals are not going to be sustainable if we don't pay taxes. That's the way we can show that we have a positive economic impact on the communities. Of course, the travelers that are coming to our places are going to be spending the money onto restaurants and other services and touristic attraction, etc., whatever they do. But we can show that this is actually also helping do things for the multiple authorities that are collecting taxes there. So we are forever expanding the list of jurisdictions where we file and remit taxes. And this is the latest list. So that's the state map where we are showing as of today in February. And that state map has never looked redder. I think we probably should be changing the color scheme. I don't know why, because we should do purple next time. Purple is good, okay? So the state map was great. We'll continue to expand. We will also, more importantly, go deeper, which is going into local jurisdictions and really going to cover more and more and more of those retained taxes. Now working on state, you can understand this is a great level of prioritization. Later, we're moving literally to any sewage authority in your neighborhood that wants to charge $1 per reservation. Good. So it's very hard to pitch a merchant of record. I tried doing that to my mom. She doesn't understand. Let's compare two things. A permanent service provider, spelled PSP, and a merchant of record with this mark credit card for Hospitable, and to understand the difference. Of course, those that know, I'm picking American Express with a certain idea. Payment processing for American Express, if you move to the next slide, Petra, can be quite expensive. It can reach 3.95%. For example, if you have an international transactions, et cetera, et cetera. So you need to have multiple parameters. It doesn't go necessarily always as big, but the point is, this is not a fee that you actually control. This is not something flat. There will be variable factors, and it can go up to that amount. Now, those 3.95% are going to be processed every single time. Your guest cancels, that's your problem as a host. Now you are going to be charged 3.95% no matter what. You will be receiving disputes and chargebacks from your payment service providers. You will need to be defending that yourself. And obviously, you're going to have to do maybe what you're doing today, which is you're going to file and pay your own lodging taxes. So it's just, congratulations, you got some money, we take your cut no matter what. And here we go. And you have to do the work to basically secure compliantly this revenue for you. Now, this as a merchant of record, this is what we're going to do. Cancellations are not going to be a cost. That basically is going to cost you exactly zero because you've made zero, irrelevant of whether you have a non-refundable cancellation policy or anything of that sort. You have zero surprise. You will spend 0 minutes spent on chargebacks. You have other things to be doing. We have the skills internally to be defending that. And Hospitable will be taking care of filing, of calculating, collecting, filing, remitting, I think those are all the words in the right order, of all the lodging taxes for you, including the smallest possible jurisdiction that we can find. And so what are we doing that for? There was a lot of questions. We're doing this for 3.90%, which for the next slide, Petra. The idea is that there are going to be some transactions that we are going to have as a merchant of record where we may be losing money. That's actually what this slide is showing, so that we can be really competitive to facilitate the migration from Vrbo current state to the new integration where we want to offer you the listing management, and we don't want you to be having more pain by understanding what it means to be a merchant of record and aligning with all the services that Vrbo is going to be offering for you, and then some, especially to take care of the chargebacks and not charging you for cancellation, etc. So that is there to be fixing the gap between the situation that we have today, the situation that we know we'll have tomorrow, and basically helping you negotiate that. Now, Hospitable is not a company that's going to make a shit ton of money, if I can use that word, on a merchant of record. For a passing opportunity that's going to be a matter of months, we needed to craft this so that we can have an offering that helps us move to a better integration for every single one. But Andrew, you were showing the other logo.
Yes. So thank you, Pierre. Thank you, Marina. If after hearing Pierre explain what it means to be the merchant of record, you are not convinced that you don't need to do that, you want to do that, we're not going to stop you. We will also be allowing you to be your own merchant of record and use a Stripe integration like we have for our direct basic users. And you can work yourself with Stripe and take on those liabilities yourself. We're not going to get in your way. So you will have the choice very soon. Currently, what is live for our pilot users and what will be live for you as you integrate very soon is us as the merchant of record. We will add Stripe as soon as possible, so you have a choice if that is your preference. Otherwise, this is going to conclude the Vrbo specific part of the presentation this evening. If you are very eager to get started and you would like to sign up, you can go ahead and scan this QR code. You can visit the URL. Hopefully someone can share that in the chat, and you can try and get on the list to at least get notifications of when this is going to be available, so you can get connected as soon as possible as we keep rolling this out. So as you saw in the phases that Marina presented, we are currently in this kind of pilot and then soon monitoring phase. We're looking at March, basically rolling this out to more and more hosts, so you can have a stable, reliable Vrbo connection. With that, we're going to transition into other updates from different areas of the product, starting with connectivity. A couple of small updates on the Airbnb side. So one of the recent updates that they did allows guests to share videos with you in messages. We weren't letting you view those in the inbox. This was a new feature that took us a little bit of time to react to. We fixed that. So some of you might now be noticing you can watch videos that your guest sent you in the inbox. Great. Other small thing, and this came up, I think on some of the chats on Facebook and in the community, that these random messages would show up in the inbox, and it looked like maybe it was an AI auto reply. No, that was Airbnb support. So what we did is we decorated those messages a bit more clearly. So you can now see that clearly the attribution, this was sent by Airbnb support. If they jump in the chat with you, we now help you clearly identify where that message came from.
other connectivity updates, booking policies, very mundane, but also very exciting in a certain way. So you can now configure and manage cancellation policies for all of your properties directly in Hospitable. This was in a beta release for quite some time. It is now available to all users. So the first thing you're going to notice is you now have visibility and clarity on all of your properties pretty easily, just going into your property section, and you can see, oh, I have a flexible policy on booking.com. I have a strict policy on Airbnb. Why is that? You can kind of get yourself in good shape. So maybe take this opportunity to do a bit of house cleaning and review if you haven't done that. The other amazing feature that is available for Airbnb and for booking.com is the ability to set a non-refundable cancellation policy option. The booking platforms are always telling us how valuable these are for conversion. Conversion means more money for you, more bookings. So we encourage all of you to go do this now. Go into Hospitable, go to your properties, go to your booking policies, set up a non-refundable option. What that means is on booking.com and Airbnb, soon on Direct, your guests will be presented with a different price if they want to buy a non-refundable booking. You are optimizing your revenue by maximizing conversions and doing this. So please consider how to get that implemented as soon as possible. Otherwise, this is just part of our ongoing trend towards listings management being the source of truth. So excited to see booking policies. One quick update on dynamic pricing. If you were in the last town hall, we have a brand new pricing model that is rolling out. You are now going to be able to opt in on your own time for a limited time to this model. We wanted to do that because it's important for you to have control over your pricing. You are going to see some small changes when you update to a new model. We want you to do that when you're ready. So you have for the entire rest of the month of February, when you go into your calendar and you are using Hospitable's dynamic pricing, we're going to prompt you and say, hey, is this a good time? What we want you to do when you do that is press the button, look at your prices, and look at any advanced settings you're using. We now have a lot of different controls on dynamic pricing, from seasonality on the month-to-month level, day of the week, etc., demand. If you've used a configuration in the past, you might not need to be so dialed in for this new model. That's the hope. The main expectation of the new model is that it's better at understanding what is specifically driving demand, whether it's seasonality, weekdays, events, etc. And it's going to do a better job of pricing because of that. And we're hoping that you don't need to be so involved in the settings. So it's a good time, if you haven't done it in a while, update the model, look at your settings, and make sure you're in a good place. If you're not using Hospitable dynamic pricing yet, and you just want to see what the new model does for your property, you've already been updated. You don't have to go through this update because you're not using it. We already updated you to the new model. You can go to your calendar, any property, click on the preview, and see what it does for you, and see if it's a good time to start using it. Last section from me on operations. So a couple small updates. Again, they're part of a larger trend. I'm going to connect these things. We have task reminders out now. We have task assignment. So this is currently in beta now. What's happening is we're adding an accept task or decline task button to any of the task assigned or task updated notifications you're using in Hospitable. So you're communicating to your cleaners, to your operations, you've been assigned this task. What we're doing now is saying, hey, let's actually help you get some clarity in a nice, easy fashion that the teammate can actually do the task, and they can communicate that when they can't, and we'll send you a notification. So what you're seeing on this screen is a random user who's communicated this to the cleaner. We've added this accept decline task button, and on the next slide, you'll see, based on that feedback, they accept or declined, and we're going to be adding a note function very soon. You're going to see this is confirmed. We're going to be updating the task calendar in Hospitable, so you get a different assigned versus accepted versus rejected status. So you'll be very clear in being able to see, okay, these are where I need to focus my attention. All these operational tasks are good. The goal that we're headed to is to be able to pay your own team. So we're going to be starting a pilot very soon. The next slide, please, to help you basically get your cleaners onboarded to a completely new cleaner portal. We're going to be helping them start a clean, complete a clean, have those status updates in Hospitable, with a goal of being able to automate your payments. So we're a couple weeks away from a pilot. Good time to start saying, hey, if you're using Hospitable now, you're managing your own team of cleaners, and we could save you time, we would love to talk to you. We would love to help you do that. It's going to be a very exciting launch. We're going to have a completely new operations experience coming up very, very soon. And with that, I will pass to Emily to talk about some Mogul updates.
Sweet. Thanks, Andrew. I'm super excited about pay your own team for myself. Alrighty, let's dive in. Since the launch of owner payouts late last year, we have heard from many of you who don't pay out your owners. You invoice them instead and expect them to pay you. So invoicing owners is easier in some ways because you're never actually holding their money, but harder in many other ways because you've done the work and now you have to chase them down and make sure you get paid. Your focus at the end of every month becomes sending out invoices, chasing them down, and we believe that time, you shouldn't need to spend that time. We can help take care of that for you. So we want to help. Available now, your owners can pay invoices directly from the owner's portal. All you need to do is connect your bank account once and invite your owners to do the same. And then you just follow your normal monthly process for publishing invoices. We handle all of the rest. We'll notify your owners that an invoice is ready for their review in the portal. We send that notification from an email on your custom domain, so it looks like it's coming from you, your brand, and you sit back and you get paid. And when you do, we'll ensure that it's properly accounted for in QuickBooks if you have that connected, or on your profit and loss visible in Hospitable. So owner invoices also are included on the Mogul plan. We think this is an incredible, I made up that word, a critical part of your business, and we want to take care of it for you. So there are no service fees charged to you or the owner on monthly invoices that are paid via the owner's portal. So this has been live since last week, so you can actually get paid for any January invoices that you've published now. And this QR code is going to lead you to some help articles that show you exactly what's needed to get ready. Again, you just simply connect your bank account if you haven't already done that, invite your owners to do the same, and publish January invoices, and we will take care of the rest. Speaking of getting paid, we announced in our last town hall that we're working on something pretty special. A marketplace that rewards those who perform, whether they're seasoned property managers with a huge portfolio of performing properties or owners with just a handful of properties who are just killing it. We are going to be bringing new business opportunities to you, opportunities to work with short-term rental property owners who are looking for a property manager to help support their goals. So we have spoken to many of you since our last town hall who are very interested in participating in this and being listed on the marketplace. And we've spent that time learning. How do you vet owners? How do you determine if a property belongs in your portfolio? During those conversations, you told us that at a certain point in your business, you kind of start to say no more often than you're saying yes. It's often for perfectly valid reasons. Maybe the owner is looking for services that just aren't aligned with your expertise, or maybe the property doesn't fit within your portfolio's brand, or maybe it's just outside of the area that you service. So instead of saying no and sending them on their way, we think we can help create a better outcome for everyone. If you decide not to take on a new owner, we would like you to introduce them to us. We're going to spend time with them, understanding what their goals are, what their expectations are in looking for a property manager, and then we'll connect them with a couple of top performing Hospitable customers who are actively looking for that type of owner and that type of property to grow their portfolio. As a thank you, if we end up making a successful match and they end up hiring one of our customers to manage their property, we will apply a $500 credit on your account. The goal here is that you get to stay focused on the portfolio that you want to build, and owners get like a really thoughtful handoff instead of just a dead end, goodbye, we're not a fit. And a fellow Hospitable customer gets an opportunity that actually fits them. And the cool thing about all this is you might be saying no today, but someone else might be saying no tomorrow, and that becomes your next best opportunity. So this is a simple way we can kind of pay it forward. You can scan this QR code with details on how to refer an owner to us. And this $500 account credit is good for the first 5 successful referrals. So get referring if you're saying no to an owner, and we will help them find a great match. I will not be around for the Q&A because I have to jump on a call with an owner who's looking for a property manager. So I will pass it to Petra, and if you have any questions, we will talk soon.
Thank you, Emily. So we have a couple of new integration. I'm gonna try to go fast through them because we are very close to the end. We want to keep some time for Q&A. So Booking Trust, Australian trust accounting software made for short-term rental property managers and vacation rental businesses to manage their finances more easily. You can find out more under apps in your Hospitable account apps, you'll find it there. Next one is Trusted AI. So it's also a new integration. They offer ID verification and background screening services. They're also developing some cool features. So if you're curious, you can check them out also under apps in Hospitable. And the third integration that we have is ProHost AI. So they're also an alternative AI messaging solution to the one that Hospitable offers. So it automates guest messaging, cleaning schedules, AI task management, guidebooks, and more. So if you're curious, head over to Hospitable and read more under apps. Let's go through events. So we have a couple of things prepared for you. One thing, it's straight after this webinar. So after the town hall. So if you have time, check it out. Hospitable is joining Stefai Turno Operto, and they're gonna talk about automating bookings and it's like all the process so your team can focus on things that matter the most. So it's straight after this town hall. Jump in if you have time. Next one, we have US taxes and compliance 3-part event series. It's a very important topic, very important part of a year. So we decided to prep you a little bit more education on this topic. It's going to be 3 events with 2 weeks in between, starting next Tuesday with our partners or our friends from Keystone CPA on the STR tax and compliance map. Scan the code to find out more information. Then in 2 weeks from now, we have our next town hall. Same place, same time, scan QR code so you can add it to the calendar. And one thing that is also still happening in February is Host and Toast in Charlotte. So we want to start again with Host and Toast, and this time is going to be a little bit different because we want to include community hosts to help us in organization. So this one we're organizing with a host in Charlotte. Scan here is going to take you to Eventbrite, but if you're also interested in organizing local events, reach out, write in the community, find me, write on community@hospitable.com, and we'll look into this. Next, awards. There is more. Okay, so Hospitable got nominated as a best supplier in the Strive Awards, and we kind of need your help. So if you could scan the QR code and cast your vote, we would be very grateful. There is also our general manager for Asia Pacific, Ethan. He's amazing, and he's been nominated for the Rising Star Award. So we would appreciate if you would give us and Ethan some vote here on the link. And I think now I can hand it over to PC. Thank you.
Yes. So what are we talking about? I'm talking about the host token. Yes, I'm gonna go super fast on this. Chart number go up and to the right. New valuation that is now at 156 million. So plenty of people have been making some money out of their property management software because they own a stake in it. The launching price was actually $5 when we started this in 2021. So it's going up. It's going to keep going up. The valuation is expected to reach $267 million. And I think it's during the May. If you're new, that was quite the tunnel to join, if I'm honest. But you can own a part of Hospitable. You can join on invest.hospitable.com to create your investor account. And that is basically what I kind of want to say. The fact that the valuation is going to go up, it's just basically to catch up on the reality of our business. The valuation that you see here is extremely quite discounted from the current fair market value that we believe we would be having if we're actually raising funds to institutional investors. So that's because you're a customer, we'd rather make the discount to you. I think we're gonna go back with Petra. I feel like obviously we're supposed to be at time. There was packed full of information. I offer that we take 3 questions, but I'm gonna ask that basically for the people that are gonna be on stage that are now raising their hands, to be asking a question, to keep to one, and ideally make that topical. So it's basically something that we should have talked about in the first one. I'm going to take an executive decision, Petra, and I would like you to ask Robert, that is on the list, to have raised their hand, because I asked him to be raising his hand, so that basically he can ask a question that I believe plenty of people would love to hear about. Can you do that, Petra?
We can.
Robert, you're on
Robert,
stage.
you're on the stage.
You're the
Hello.
brave one that's going to be
Yeah.
asking the feisty question. So thank you so
Yeah.
very much for your sacrifice. What's your question?
You can hear me okay?
Perfect.
Yeah, so there was this Vrbo Chrome plugin that just suddenly got put out to the whole community. And I guess my question basically is, why did it get put out? I've seen a bunch of posts in the Facebook group in the Hospitable community. It seems like people are frustrated and upset about, especially people who are managing multiple Vrbo accounts, about such a clunky integration. It hasn't been a huge deal for me, but it seems like the communication around why this is being done and whose fault it is has not really gotten out to most hosts.
Good.
So
Yeah. NDAs do that. There is going to be a book at some point in the future about Hospitable, and we'll be sharing more. Right now, there are plenty that we cannot. And so we'd rather focus all of our energy towards building the official integration, the one that we've demoed you for you, that is actually the one that is sustainable, that we can maintain, and we are packing the resources behind it. There are plenty of stories to be sharing about that Chrome plugin that we expect to be a gap for a few weeks. We don't want that to be lasting one day longer, and we're aggressively pursuing the development of our official Vrbo integration first. So whenever there's going to be live, maybe I will be sharing a little bit more, but for now, I basically understand it's not a good time to be answering this question. We are sharing the pain, and we want to go away from this setup as fast as we can, but doing so responsibly. Thank you, Robert, for giving me a chance of non-answering this. And I would love to do that much later when we are confident about the go live. Thank you for that, Robert. We can move next to wherever you have, Petra.
Let's go. Ginal Hill. The hand is
Ginal.
up for a while.
Hello, how can we help you? What's your one question? Hello.
Hello. My question, I forgot it. I think I typed it. Where did it go?
You typed it. Good.
Oh, it was
What?
cleaners. Sometimes my cleaners look at the calendar and they want to propose a different cleaning date. So I'm wondering, is there a way to facilitate that interaction?
Yes,
Roger.
not today, but we're doing that work. So we talked about accepting and rejecting a task. It is going to be a reschedule or suggest a different time. I think we're doing a good job of pointing out like when this is a same day turnover, and so that would help kind of communicate what the latitude is where you could reschedule. But the short answer is yes, very soon. We've done some work a lot of people have cleaners that work for different Hospitable accounts. They have different emails, they have different phones. We're unifying those. So that's something that's going to come very soon too. And you're going to be able to see when you accept or reject a task in the context of all the other tasks you have for anyone, whether they're using another Hospitable account or not. So yeah, there's a lot of good things coming from there. And yes, absolutely being able to, change slightly a task or propose a different time. Yes.
Perfect. Let's go with Jessie Moreno.
Thank you. Just one thing, Petra, because she's not reading my messages. There are guests that basically can still talk. Can you remove them? Yeah. Okay. Good. Jessie, how can we help you?
No, Jesse's gone now.
No, Jessie is gone now. Jessie is back. Jessie, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself so we can ask your question? We can hear your question. You need to unmute yourself. That's the button on the bottom left with a little mic icon. Okay, you know what? Sorry, Jessie. We're going to move to Mindy. I promised 3 questions. That's what we're going to answer. Mindy, you're on stage. Hello, how can we help you?
Hello. Thank you so much. I am having difficulty with my owner statements and getting the correct Airbnb co-host payout to show up as paid on the owner statement. So I'm having to do kind of a quirky workaround. Is that an Airbnb integration? Like the wrong amount is coming through as the amount paid by Airbnb.
I think we get back to you because basically Emily, who is the product manager from Mogul, just left to be attending a call with a prospective host that want to work with a property manager. There may be one thing that's finicky about the Airbnb integration. There may be something to do with the setup. So we're gonna get back to you by email and see basically what's up with that. Is that okay for you, Mindy?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, Mindy. Thank you, everybody. There were a few emails that I received from customers directly as escalations, and I just want to share that again because I can actually sometimes, very rarely, help. But my email address is pc@hospitable.com. So if there is anything that is on your mind, you can share that. I will redirect that to the most appropriate victim in the team. So that's something that may be worked on in the future. So pc@hospitable.com. I do hope that goes well with the accent, right? So the things that we've been talking a lot today about Vrbo. This is one of many times where we're going to be talking about Vrbo. We are not going to be, so I answered plenty of questions in the chat. There is a lot of complexity financially because of the fact that we will be the merchant of record. But there is no better company to basically fix those problems than Hospitable because we already are a merchant of record at a meaningful scale. And so we're absolutely ready to handle the hundreds of millions of Hospitable of payments on Vrbo that you guys are already doing. And that basically will give you some peace of mind just as much as giving you a one source of truth where you can manage all your content and all your calendars at a very fast pace so that you don't have to be going through Vrbo and all your other products and booking platforms. So that is the one that the thing that I would like you to take away from this channel. We'll touch points. We will be sharing more as we are more ready, but this is a matter of, you've seen the message from the Vrbo team. This is a matter of days to be going live. This is probably going to take a little bit longer for us to be ready from prime time. But when we are, you'll be the first to know, and there will be time to migrate, there will be time to process. But obviously the idea is that we want to make that super easy for you to be doing. So this is what the team is going to be focusing on for the rest, for the next few weeks. Please be nice and kind. We could not be moving any faster considering the scope of this integration. Thank you so very much. See you 2 weeks from now, same day, same place. Ciao, ciao.